Hey guys, it's Josh at Double Edge Sharpening, and I just got something in the mail and I wanted it to open up with you, so let's do that together. Okay, so I actually ordered two things in the mail, and I've already full disclosure, I've already opened one and got it already, but I thought what we'd do is we'd open up the second one and kind of talk about what it is. And I've actually been looking forward to this one. Had to wait a little bit because I had to order it online, and it came from out of country, but it finally arrived, and it is a brand new angle guide for my 1x30 buck tools. And here it is, brand new out of the package. KFMK angle guide 1x30. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I watched a review. I was actually watching a review of another sharpener with this, and I was like, I want one of those. The reason I really wanted one of those is a few things, and we'll kind of go through that in this video. This was the angle guide I was currently using, and actually it's fairly similar in design, and I like it a lot, but there's a few things that I would change with this, and I actually thought to myself, maybe I will make these changes. Maybe I'll cut out some parts that are an issue and that kind of stuff. Then I saw the video of this one, and basically it did what I wanted with a few exceptions. I had to make my own modifications still, but it was a lot easier than kind of fabbing up my own. So this angle guide is pretty sweet. This is the original one that I had. And what you can do is you can adjust these knobs and set your angle and put it on the platen here on the back of my buck tool. And basically that allows me to consistently set my angle on both my machines and create a streamline for my workflow. And it works pretty good. The biggest issue I had with this one is I actually couldn't zero gap it almost. The actual plate here, there's a large gap between this back part and the actual angle guide. And where that caused issues was smaller profiled knives, or like paring knives, or even small hunting knives. Or in particular, I go to the ice fishing show in a city near me, and I do a lot of filleting knives or fishing knives, and those get quite small near the tip. And the problem with this gap here is you would get off the plate and you would lose your angle, or you would slip down, and it actually could be quite dangerous. And so I was trying to think, like, do I want to bend this in to get it closer? But then my angles are going to be a little bit, I'm going to have to adjust a little bit differently. My other machine, this one here that I started with, this guy here, does have an angle guide. Let me see if I can find it. I didn't pull it out here. Okay, here it is. Does have an angle guide that you can actually see how it's flat here. So when you're able to put it onto the machine, you can actually get it tight. Now, obviously not too tight, but really close to the belt so that actually there's no gap. I can't get my knife down there. The problem with this machine is I had to, ooh, look at that. I have to change the belts for every grit, and it got quite sore on my arm. So that's why I like to have a little bit of a streamline with a couple different machines. And I was having the issue with that gap. Well, this new angle guide basically took the best of both worlds. They have added, I'm going to put it this way so you can see, the actual plate itself. They've done what that other one did, and let me see if you can get a better view of it. They've actually put an angle there so that you can actually get the belt flat up against there. Hopefully you can see that cut. It's black, but it's hard to see. And the other thing you can do is you can actually take these two screws here and move this plate closer to the actual angle guide. So here's the angle guide. Here's that back plate. You can actually adjust that so that you can get it as close as you can to that angle guide itself, the platen on that plate, and get it really close. And now I can almost zero gap it on my machines and keep that streamlining effect. That was the main thing. Couple things I have to adjust though. as you can see here, this design was well done with this part. You see how they've actually notched this part out so that the plate is actually clear on both sides? That allows me to get the knife right up to the edge of the belt on each side, whichever side of the blade I'm sharpening. The problem with this one is they didn't remove that metal. You can see it's actually, the whole plate is bent all the way to the top, from top to bottom. That's an issue because what happens is when this is on the machine, this part of the handle of the blade basically hits that, and I actually can't get close because my belt is only 1 inch. It's only actually this part. It's not this thick. So the problem, at least on one side, is I can't get to it. I can probably get to it on this side if my belt is right there, right? So one thing I have to modify is we actually have to notch this out. I've already done it on this one. The other thing is inside here, and again, hopefully you can see this. Inside, see that piece of metal right there? Right there. I need to notch this out because what's happening is, let me see if you can get a look at this. When I put this one on the actual belt with that piece of metal in the way, it actually was offset too far this way. I couldn't actually center it on the belt. So I actually have to notch those two pieces here as well as cut this out. So here's kind of the final version of that without me touching it up a bit. But what we're going to do is, why don't you come with me, we're going to mark this one up where we want to cut it, and then put it on my second machine. So let's go do that. Okay, now that we're back and we've got that piece cut out here and also through the back so that it slides in properly, we're gonna put it on the machine and see if there's any adjustments. Now, I did do this, like I said, I did this first one earlier, and what did happen is I did have to slide this back a bit because this plate is actually quite a bit thicker. So this plate here is a lot thicker than that one. So I had to move the platen back a bit, sorry. I had all my tools. Here it is. So there's a little bit of micro adjustment here. So just have to get this in the right spot so that the belt's not stretched too much. But we don't want there too much slack in the belt either. And so it's also a little bit tricky. So we have to get this in the right spot here. We put this on. Ooh, that's the wrong side. Just looking at what I did for the other one, it should be roughly in the same spot. So let's go there, tighten it up, and then we'll test it out, see how close. And I might actually have to make some adjustments to the actual angle guide itself to make sure that plate is in the right position so that the belt is as close to the angle guide as we can so that we can get my elbow's in there, some small knives in there. So let's test that out. So now that like I said, I took that off, and let's see what you can see here. I'm actually able to, before when I had that piece, when I didn't grind out the pieces in the back here, when I put it on, it actually kind of stuck out a bit. Now I'm able to slide it all the way over. So let's tighten that up just preliminarily and put a belt in and see what the gap is like, both for where the belt is in relation to the angle guide and also against the platen there. That actually might be pretty good. Let me just turn it on. I think I've got enough tension there that it's okay. I will actually want to move the angle guide. I don't know if I'll get you to see it, but the gap, but the gap between the belt and this angle guide is still a little bit. So what I did here, you can see the cats in the background. Kittens are on my equipment. We've got 3 kittens to get rid of still. If anyone in Brandon is looking. So what I want to do is move it closer so that when I get to the end of a really fine blade, I'm not falling off of it and sliding down. I want to make sure that I'm actually close. So I'm going to take this off. And what we can do is we can actually loosen these 2 screws here and push this plate closer so that this gap right here is not as wide. So we just take our Allen key here and make a little adjustment like that. Let's try that here. Problem is if it's too tight, then it'll pinch the belt. So we don't want it too tight. But we also don't want it too far. So let's try that there. All right. It's better. I still want a little bit more. I want it a little bit tight. See the cat again? I do not permit them to climb on my equipment, and I don't like it. So here it is on YouTube, people seeing cats climb on my equipment. Pardon me for a second again. So that's a little bit better. Let's see how I'm going to tighten this up. And then the next thing I got to do is set the angle on this one so that it matches, or see, that's nice. Nice and tight up against there. We might have to move the belt just a bit. Okay. That's pretty good. I might have to pretty good. I might move it over just a bit. And put that there. Okay, so I pretty much zero gapped it. It's actually, this one is actually a little closer than this one, and it'll be nice. But the other thing we've got to do is zero it out and then set our angle. So I like to use this digital magnet that's got the angle. So what I do is I put it flat on the platen here, zero it out. So now it's at zero. Oh, well, it's close to zero. So I keep there, 0. Put it on the angle and see what it's at. So that one's at 15.8. Again, just making sure we're zeroed out here. Almost 16 degrees. If I zero this guy out, 0, 15.7. These two are bang on exactly where I want them to be. Now, the other thing I want to do, cats, is put some green tape on here. I like to use just this painter's frog tape. It's quite easy. And what that does is just helps the knife slide across there a little bit nicer, and also doesn't scratch up the blade. So we're gonna, but then I have to get a nice piece here. Let's try to get a good piece. Nice flat piece. And then I'll use my pocket knife. And then what we'll do is we'll test this out. We'll sharpen up a few knives. I got a few finer or smaller pointed knives here to try out to see how it does. Okay. There we go. So those two are set. Let's try it out. Now, so what I do is I usually like to start with, this is a 180 grit. This is a new belt that I'm trying. Usually 180, 120 grit to start with. And then I work my way up to A130, which is about an 800 grit, 6 to 800. So, let me lower my seat a bit here. So I've got a couple knives here. This one's a boning knife. This one's just another kind of cutting knife. And then I've got a kitchen, another kitchen knife that I have that's, again, it's not super wide, but it does get a little bit small. So I thought a little bit versatility here. Let's try these out. And now what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a burr. And I've already got it, I think, on this one. Looking for the color change in my light. And also you can feel it. And I can feel a burr on that one. So that one worked out pretty good. One pass. Two pass. That pretty much got it. Okay, that one's done. This one might need a little bit more work. But that plate on this angle guide is really nice. It's wide, but it's close, so I'm not worrying about slipping down as much. Well, we're starting to get a burr, but not all the way across the blade. Starting to get it right here. So we're getting that angle. You can also see, at least I can see, it's kind of shiny in the areas where it's not matching or getting burr, but almost there, just more at the end or the tip. So this might be the last pass here. Oh, there we go. This is it. There we go, I got a burr all the way across. Okay, now let's move over to this one. Try it out. Usually, once we've established the apex, and I've got a burr, you usually just need one pass on the A30 belt, just to refine that edge. That's looking good. And it's nice because I'm not worrying about, especially this fine tipped one. All right, now we're gonna strop it. I've got my leather belt here. Usually add some compound to it or some diamond spray. And we're not hitting it hard. We're literally just lightly angle matching, getting rid of that burr is basic, and polishing the edge, but we want to keep a bite on those knives. And then we'll test it out. Just nice and light. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes I like to rub it on a piece of wood just to feel if there's any burr left. Doesn't dull it in any way. Okay. Sorry, bouncing around. Okay. Now we're going to test these knives using the new KFMK angle guides I got off of Amazon. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. So those are nice and sharp. And that is using the KMF angle guide. I could do this all day. Oh, look at that. Nice and fine. So that's what I got, and now we're set up, and I'm able to use my buck tool 1x30s with these new angle guides and keep it really flat and close and keep my workflow nice and even. So if you like this video or others, check me out, Double Edge Sharpening, like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.